Welcome, welcome. Got some stuff showing up on the screen here. Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm going to share with you two things. Two things I'm going to share with you guys today. And we're going to talk about the Genesis darkness. The Genesis darkness. And I'm going to give you, in this video, I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to give you the principle. I'm going to give you one principle, and then I'm going to give you two people that experienced the Genesis darkness, the darkness that comes in Genesis, the darkness that's experienced in Genesis, right? And so, what am I talking about? Well, you're going to find that there's a principle or a law at work in Genesis, and it's at the beginning of Genesis, but particularly Genesis 1:5. It talks about the evening and the morning. The evening and the morning. And so this thing known as, I call it the evening and morning principle. And so a lot of people are going through obscurity and darkness, right? You're going through cloudiness, a season of cloudiness, a season of hiddenness. And particularly in the winter time, right, there's a lot of, people experience darkness. They experience lack of sun. The sun doesn't seem to be out as long. And the evening seems to come earlier, right? And so we're experiencing this thing of obscurity, right? A thing of obscurity. And so a lot of people are wondering, why am I going through this time of darkness? Why am I going through this time of cloudiness? And so it's good to have a working definition. So what does obscurity mean? Obscurity means darkness. It can mean hiddenness, right? So for the purpose of this video, we're going to say and go along with its definition, which is obscurity is darkness. Obscurity is hiddenness, right? To be hidden. And so that's the reason, right? That this is the principle that you're experiencing right now. This is the principle that a lot of people are experiencing, this principle of the evening and the morning. And so a lot of people are going through or wondering why am I going through this obscure time? Why am I going through this hiddenness? But it's necessary, right? Because there's actually a law at work, and that's why you're experiencing it. And so there's two people in Genesis that experienced this law of or principle of the evening and the morning. See, in the Western mind and in the Western world, we think that, and pretty much a lot of people's experience is that our day starts when the sun rises, right? A lot of people think, and that's a lot of our Western day or Western mind's view, is that our day starts in the morning when the sun comes up, whenever that is, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., right? But in the Hebrew or in the biblical point of view, in the biblical context, your day, my day, right, starts in the evening actually, right? If you go there in Genesis, you'll see that it says, and the evening and the morning were the first day. The evening and the morning. So there's this principle at work. And so if you're just coming in, guys, if you're just coming in, say where you're coming from. And we're talking about Genesis, the Genesis darkness. And so a lot of people are wondering, or a lot of people are going through a time of darkness. In other words, obscurity. In other words, you're experiencing this principle that's at work, just like a plane experiences the law of aerodynamics with pressure going over the wing on the top and then the wing on the bottom the pressure on the top creates a low pressure, and then there's a higher pressure underneath, and it is experiencing this thing called lift, right? When the differences in the two pressures, okay, experiences lift, okay? And so there's a principle at work, even though you can't see it, right? And so, as well as right now, a lot of people are going through darkness, whether it's darkness in your business, darkness in your life, obscurity, it's cloudy, or what have you, and you're wondering what's going on. Well, I'm here. Can I help you today? That's my question. Can I help you today? Because I believe, hi, Eric Velasquez, welcome, welcome, good evening. I'll say good evening. And it's interesting that I'm saying good evening. I'm doing this as it's more obscure, it's more a little bit darker. The evening is upon us, and so we're talking about the darkness, the Genesis darkness, and we're talking about obscurity, and we're talking about why people feel like maybe you feel like something's wrong. You feel like, why is it dark? Why do I feel obscure? Why do things seem cloudy? Whether it's in the mind, whether it's in the heart, whether it's in your life, whether it's in your business, whether it's in maybe a business venture, or just something right now. You've been experiencing a season of darkness, let alone that, depending on where you are on the globe, it's wintertime right now. It's wintertime where I'm from, right? And so there's a lot of obscurity and darkness that happens. And so I promise that there's two things I'm going to talk about in this video. First of all, why you're experiencing darkness or obscurity, because it has to be that way, because you're actually dealing with a law at work. You're dealing with a principle at work, and it's found in Genesis 1:5, right? It's the evening and the morning principle. It's the evening. You're going through the evening first. See, with the Western mind, we think that life starts with clarity. Life doesn't start with clarity. Life starts with obscurity first. When you and I were in our mother's womb, what was that? That was at least or around about 9 months of obscurity, 9 months of darkness, right? And so with our Western mind, we think that, well, everything should be clear all of the time. I should know exactly what I need to be doing all of the time. But you have to experience this law and this principle called the evening and the morning. The evening first, and then the morning. So your day is actually going to start when the sun, if you will, is going down. For some people, and traditionally, like the Hebrew tradition is that there can be two types of evenings happening, right? Two types of evenings. So the one, it could start at 3 p.m. when the sun starts to decline in the sky or go down in the sky. It's about 3 p.m., right? And then, or it's called the 9th hour as well. And then you have the other idea of the second evening, which would be when the sun is at the horizon. And if you're looking at the video right now, the sun is at the horizon. If my head up here, my dome of my head is the horizon, or my hand is the horizon, but my head is the sun. As the sun goes down, and then bam, it disappears from the horizon. That would be also like the second evening, or known as, the evening. And so when the evening starts. And so now to the two people that I wanted to tell you guys about that experience this darkness. So you're not the only one that has experienced darkness. You're not the only one that has experienced this obscurity. But it is necessary. It is necessary. And so the number one person that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to talk about two, but the number one, and it's going to be one on the list, is going to be Noah. Noah experienced obscurity. And so what do you mean? What are you talking about? Noah experienced obscurity or darkness or hiddenness. Well, when you think about it, God tells Noah to build this boat, to build an ark. Judgment's coming. The world's going to be destroyed. Everything's life is going to disappear. And so he's telling Noah something that he's never experienced before. Noah has never experienced a flood, as at least that we know of, or that's recorded in the scrolls, that's recorded in the Bible, right? In the Torah, we don't see that Noah experienced any type of flood, nor did Noah experience any type of a boat, right? Or something that floats, right? So in essence, he is working at something, he's doing something for years, right? In the dark. He doesn't even know what's going on, right? But he knows that he heard something. He knows that he heard from God that I'm supposed to do this thing. And so he's never seen a drop of rain fall from the sky because it hadn't rained yet. During that time, the water was, or the earth was watered from like geysers, or it came from the earth up. It didn't come from the sky down. So he's never seen a drop of water fall from the sky. So he's in darkness in that way, right? And so Noah, just think about the Noah story. He was 500 years old when he started working on this thing called the ark, right? He's 500 years old. Now, he doesn't finish the ark until he's 600 years old. So I don't know about you, but for me, I'm like, okay, the first year you're like, okay, I know God told me to do this, but it's the first year. I'm still building this ark. I still don't see any rain. Okay, now we're at the 5th year. Now we're at the 10th year. What's going on? You start doubting. You might start questioning yourself. Okay, now we're in the 50th year. 50th year, obviously those people live longer in life. How's it going, Nell? As everybody comes in, hello, Cherie Farr. Hello, Nell. Hello, Michael Goodwin. Can I help you guys today? We're talking about the Genesis darkness. And so you've got Noah working on this ark. He's really working on the ark in the dark because he's never seen a drop of rain fall from the heavens, from the sky, right? He's never seen a boat that we know of, right? And he's never seen flooded waters. So he's working on something in the dark that he's never experienced before. He doesn't have a blueprint for this, right? And so, I mean, after 50 years, I'm thinking, did I even hear from God, right? After 50 years, after 60 years, now the 70th year, the 80th year, we're in the 90th year now, and it's still, there's no drop of rain, right? But I'm sure he was probably glad that there was no drop of rain yet and that the floods didn't come up from the ground yet, because he wasn't finished with the ark, right? But he would pitch it from without and pitch it from within. And so now he's in his 99th year and the ark is almost done, right? And so we're talking about today, if you guys are just joining and just came in, we're talking about the darkness, Genesis darkness, and how there's a law, there's a principle at work that the evening comes before the day, that obscurity, the obscurity and the cloudiness and the darkness and the hiddenness that you're going through right now is supposed to be, right? Because there's a law at work, there's a principle at work called the evening and the morning. It's found in Genesis 1:5. You're going through the evening first. In the Western mindset, we think that our day starts in the daytime when the sun rises, whenever that is, or whenever I wake up, like at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., etc. But your day, the biblical day starts in the evening, in the morning, were the first day, Genesis 1:5 says. But now we're talking about the Noah story that is in Genesis 6:8, and how Noah experienced this evening and the morning, if you will, this darkness, this obscurity, before he ever saw a drop of rain and before he ever saw any floods. He would go through a time of darkness, right? A time of obscurity. And so finally, I mean, just think about it, like he's working on this ark, he's working on this boat, never been in a boat, never experienced months at sea, right? And so he had to go through this time, for God. You figure like how his character must have been built, right? And must have been tried as he's building this thing that he's never seen before. As you're building this thing, as you're going through this time, and you don't know what's on the other end, right? But you believe that you heard from God, right? You really believe that in your heart that you've heard from God, but you're in a place of obscurity, you're in a place of darkness, you're in a place of hiddenness. Well, can I help you today? I came by today to be of some type of help in this time of your obscurity and darkness, that you're actually dealing with a law at work, with a principle at work, which I found it in Genesis 1:5, where it says, and the evening and the morning were the first day. It doesn't say that in the morning and then the evening was the first day. It says that the evening and the morning was the first day. And so that should encourage you today. That encourages me today to know that darkness comes and that obscurity must be, right? And that hiddenness must be, just like you were hidden in your mother's womb for 9 months. Hiddenness must be first before the clarity comes. Before your clarity comes, you're going to have obscurity. Before the clarity comes, you're going to have darkness. Before your clarity comes and arises, right, you're going to have times of cloudiness, and where this doesn't make any sense, where you feel like you're groping in the dark, right? But just know that you're experiencing a principle. You're experiencing a law, just like gravity. Somebody jumps off, there's a big pile of snow beside me. If I jump off that snow pile, I'm gonna see gravity at work. It's gonna bring me down to the ground, all right? And so another person that experienced obscurity, just think about it for a minute, would be Abram, right? He's also in Genesis. He's also found in Genesis, when God tells him, hey, Abram, get out of your family's, get out of your father's house, get away from what you're used to, right? And go to the place where I'm going to show you. Now, it probably took him about a month or two before he got to his destination. God told him to come out of the Ur of the Chaldees, right? Ur of the Chaldeans, where he grew up, or where his father's house was, right? Come out of that place and then go to the place that he's going to show him, which would later be Canaan, which would later be the promised land, which would later be where Israel would, the land of Israel, right? And so I hope this encourages you guys today. I hope this encourages you. The bird bard. Yes. So I hope this encourages you today, guys, that I wanted to share with you guys today that in this time of obscurity and darkness that you find in your life right now, and it could be for weeks, it could be for months, right? We hope it's not. We hope it's not for years, right? That's why, you know, it is important to trust in the one who created the darkness. It is important to trust in the one that not only that, I want to say, separated the dark from the light, right? Separated the night from the day, where it says in Genesis, that the beginning first verses of Genesis, and then we find this principle that I'm talking about in Genesis 1:5, that the evening and then the morning, obscurity and darkness and cloudiness, and then the day, then the light shines after the darkness. And so Noah was one, and just imagine year after year after year after year continuing to build. He only had a crew of 7, including himself. That would be 8, but he had 4 males and 4 females to help him build this thing, this boat that would be his saving grace, that would be a place of refuge, that would be something, this object that helped save him and helped get him, that would float on top of the chaos, float on top of the waters, and help him and his family to live to see, right, another day, to live in. And so imagine preparing for something for 100 years, not 100 days, and not just 1 year. He prepared and built for 100 years, and then only for it to rain for 40 days and 40 nights, and then after that be on the waters, to be on this tumultuous water, right, that rose above, I believe it's certain amount of cubits above the tallest mountaintop, right? And so after 40 days, the rain's done, but they're still at sea for another 5 months, right? There's another 5 months of obscurity, another 5 months of being in the dark, another 5 months of fogginess, right? And then once the ark rested on Mount Ararat, right, then they would wait for another 150 days. That's another 5 months of obscurity, right, of what's going on. Okay, I see that the water is subsiding. So you see that some of the circumstances in your life are coming down, right? You see that some things are becoming obtainable, right? As this tumultuous time, as this time of trial, this time of destruction is going on all around you, is going on all around these guys, right? And so they've got another 5 months of obscurity. And then the following year, in the second month, on the 27th day, they were able to exit the ark. And so if you add those numbers up, right, it was the second month of the year that the waters began in the 17th day, and then the following year in the second month on the 27th day, they came out of that place that they were in for a year, and so it was a year and about 10 days. So he prepared 100 years for it. It lasted for really a year and 10 days. And so I hope that this video was helpful and useful for you guys today, to know that light doesn't come before the darkness. Clarity doesn't come before the cloudiness and the hidden time. The darkness, like Genesis says, the evening comes first, then the morning, right, was the first day. And so plenty of grace, guys, and plenty of peace to you guys today. Hello, Staz. Hope you guys enjoyed. I do not live in Canada. Mendy M. Dakaj. I live in the United States. So hope this was helpful and useful for you guys. And see if anybody had any questions while I'm on here. I'm just looking at some of your comments. I'm following you far, but prompted this. Also, my favorite is Genesis 3:2. Wonderful, wonderful. Always darkness before the dawn. That's right. I've always believed that the Bible is a mixture of actual accounts and metaphor. Yes, there's accounts and there's analogies, correct. Okay, it says, do you have a son, cousin? I'm friends with him and he got on something on his test. Okay. I do. I am a son myself, obviously, from my mother and father, and I do have cousins. So hopefully this was helpful and useful for you guys today. Until next time, great grace and plenty of peace, guys.